Hey, sales friends, Weinberg, late Saturday afternoon. The sun has just set here in St. Louis. Gorgeous day. I had a phenomenal week, surrounded by positive and productive people. And as I was taking a drive this morning, thinking about the blog post I wanted to put together, it just seemed better to record it for you than to type it out so you could hear my voice as I share some of these stories. And yes, I'm sporting both of my boys' schools' colors here today. Big week for the Boilermakers. Win at Mackey Arena over last year's national champs, Virginia. It was 3 days ago. My son is still like on cloud nine, just ecstatic about the big win for the Boilermakers, and Butler Bulldogs back in the top 25 in the country. 2 wins this week. Just watched them trounce University of Florida today. So college hoops, I love it. All right, this week, a lot of it took place in San Antonio. I was with a really fun client, and what most impressed me about this really tenured expert sales team in this industry is how open they were to being coached. Typically, when you're with a really veteran sales team in kind of a unique industry, I tend to see an attitude and a cynical nature among the salespeople. This group was transparent, they were open, they were coachable, they were very upfront with me, admitting that they had not mastered owning their calendar, that they did very little prospecting and needed help, and that it had been forever since they had deconstructed what a sales call should look like. We spent an entire half day going through a proper discovery sales call. Everything from the structure to sharing your agenda and getting the customer's buy-in. We did an enormous exercise on creating great discovery questions so they could probe and really learn what they needed to learn. I was totally energized by this group because of their attitude. They were positive and their results showed it. On the front end of my trip to San Antonio, I had a really neat experience. I got to meet a guy face to face who I've been telephone friends with for a year. And I put a piece on LinkedIn earlier in the week if you want to check that out. The guy's name is Jordan Trevino, and he's the internet sales manager at Porsche of San Antonio. And I met this guy a year ago, and he stood on his head to find me the car I was looking for during the last run of the final year of that generation of Porsche 911. So I really had a lot of respect for him and the way he treated me and how much fun he made it. So I promised him when I finally would get to San Antonio, I was going to take him out. And I got to spend a couple hours with him the day before the workshop. So professional, so positive. And what impressed me the most, this guy has only been in the car business 4 years, and he came in without any experience, is now the #1 guy at this dealership. And he's the internet manager, so he gets all the crap. He gets all the internet chat. And the people come in and go, what's your lowest price on this? And I want this and I want that. And I got to watch him and listen on the phone and watch him do some chat as he turned around these conversations from being all about price to being a value creator and a consultant. And it was so much fun. And then he took me out for an incredible, well, I paid, but he took me out to this incredible, authentic Mexican lunch. And it was phenomenal. I won't even try to pronounce the names of the foods that we picked up, but that's in that LinkedIn post I'm referring to. So he was awesome. And then after the workshop, I had a couple hours before my flight out of San Antonio. And long story, but one of my very, very best friends from high school in New York knew I was in San Antonio, and she sent me a text and said, you've got to go to this restaurant. My best friend from New York, her friend, opened up this restaurant called Max and Louie's, and it's a legit New York diner that these transplanted New Yorkers open. So I went over there hoping to get a good New York meal, and that's not easy to do when you live in the Midwest or you're down in Texas. And this place was phenomenal, but the bonus was I got to spend about an hour talking with this guy, Drew, that owns the place. And he shared his story with me and his passion for the food and what his mission was. And he told me about his first restaurant that had failed and how he had learned from that, and he remained positive. And the success they're having right now is unbelievable. I'm gonna write a review on their website, but check out Max and Louie's if you're ever in San Antonio. This guy is so picky and so passionate and so proud of what he's doing that he actually ships in bagel dough from Brooklyn because he wants the legit New York water to make the kind of bagels that you need to make. And if you don't know what I'm talking about and you think that Panera serving you bagels with chocolate chips or fruit in it is a bagel, you have no idea what a bagel is. And I'm speaking like a New Yorker here who's kind of tired of living in the Midwest. Anyway, he was so positive, it was amazing. But the most impactful thing that happened to me this week was watching my rock star daughter, Haley. Haley is in her 4th year of architecture school. This is her first year of grad school. And her semester project this year was absolutely a doozy. If she was at 100% health, it would have been long and hard and challenging anyway. Well, she's had just a mess of health issues this semester and been on some medicine that messed her up. And she had 2 eye surgeries in the last month that she's had to recover from. And this last week was crunch time. And she had to get this project done and present it yesterday to professional architects and to the city that was actually the client of this project. And we had lots of dialogue over the last week, just helping her remain productive and positive. And she did it. She overcame all these physical ailments and all the challenges. And last night she texted my wife and me a picture of her with this giant smile standing in front of this 8-foot printed out banner from her presentation that she had presented, and got tremendous feedback. So I was just so proud of my daughter, positive and productive. And then the last thing this week that was what a great cap was I took my wife last night to see the Mr. Rogers, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood movie with Tom Hanks. He was outrageous, phenomenal. He is a gift to us. I mean, I don't know how much money Tom Hanks has made acting, but I'll tell you one thing, he earned it. And this movie turned me around on Mr. Rogers, because I don't know, I was cynical like everybody else, and it's kind of cheesy and childish and too positive. What a movie, and what a respect I now have for Fred Rogers, because he was a man who lived on mission with a very specific purpose. And I'm just going to tell you, you need to see the movie, and I'm not exactly going out on a limb there. It's got like 95% positive Rotten Tomatoes. But man, what a positive week, from Fred Rogers to my daughter overcoming all this physical ailments to crush her big presentation this semester, to meeting the Porsche guy, to meeting the restaurant guy, to being around a positive client. So I'll leave you with this. What are you doing to feed both your positivity and your productivity? What are you reading? Who are you listening to? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you investing with so you're paying it forward and helping other people be more positive and productive? I think those are some great questions to ask yourself as we wrap up 2019 and start doing some of this New Year's planning going into 2020. I hope you have a phenomenal week ahead. I wish you great selling, tons and tons of new sales. And if you're leading a team, great sales leadership.